And we do begin this morning with breaking news. Police right now clearing out the encampment at UC San Diego.
Fox 5's Elizabeth Alvarez is live on campus with a look at what is going on right now. Liz.
They are cleaning out the encampment as well as taking people into custody. We have many pro-Palestinian protesters, many of whom have been here for several days now, being taken into custody. Officers here on the scene telling us that many of these folks have resisted clearing out this encampment that UC San Diego has said from the beginning was in violation of campus policy, though the university has been very forward and straightforward with the fact that they support the right to free speech. An encampment, however, is against campus policy. So what you're looking at here is the activity as we move in, and I'll have our photographer David show you that group of officers that you see that are dark. We've got a number of UC police officers, CHP, as well as the San Diego County Sheriff deputies out here. One officer telling me that the reason why there seems to be a focus right now at this image that you're looking at is because he said, according to this officer on scene, that these are protesters that are resisting moving out of the area. So they are taking people into custody. They are putting zip ties behind them, and they are lining them up, and then they will proceed with questioning them and doing what they need to do. As far as the encampment itself, well, as we give you a wider shot, maybe David, you can widen out and show how it definitely has changed. Just before 6:30, we saw officers physically begin to remove canopies and tents. You can see a lot of the tents are already down. They removed a lot of the posters and the signage, and this is all in the process. Keep in mind, we have been bringing you these images. We have been here through the start of it. This all got started Wednesday afternoon when some pro-Palestinian protesters gathered here in an area right in front of the Student Health Services, next to the Gaza Library, kind of in the heart of what many students call Central Campus. And so these pro-Palestinian protesters have even told us on camera that they had planned to stay here until their demands were heard. What demands? Of course, we've been telling you they want the university and all of its research partners to cut ties with Israel. So what we have here is, and we'll show you and pan around this way, authorities are now taking the protesters that they have in custody. They're moving them off away from this area, and they will begin processing, I imagine them, questioning them, maybe fining them. Exactly what will happen has yet to be determined. We'll have to get someone from university police to talk to us about that. But this is the type of activity, and if you want to chime in here, Raul and Christina, as we continue to bring you these live coverage, we began showing you these images, just after the 6 a.m. hour when we got word that police were on campus. Isn't that right?
Correct. And they said at 5:50 they had 10 minutes. And you see right here what's happening, that person standing. I was curious when you said that some of the officers were surrounding some of these protesters who were resisting. In terms of what that actually means, whether or not they were just kind of lying down and kind of going limp, as some protesters tend to do, to make the officers work harder, and it takes 2, 3, or 4 officers to take the one person. It seems like most of the ones that we've seen are walking away willingly once they get zip tied. But I'm not sure in terms of what kind of resistance are you seeing, if any, where there's a lot of police officers around 1 or 2 students.
Right. That's a great observation that you made, that yes, a lot of these, it's very hard to tell though because we can't see really what's going on the other side, but I can tell you that about an hour ago, some of our other photographers who were here on scene captured moments where many of the protesters, or at least some of them, began shaking and moving and resisting using these boards. They use these boards they had for several days, kind of use them as a shield. And there was a moment there where things got a little bit intense, where some of the protesters kind of began pushing back from the officers. We'll see if we can maybe turn that footage around for you. But as far as right now, you know, this is a situation where, you know, police are trained in how to deal with these protests, right? So perhaps time is on their side, is what they'll tell you. Many of these officers will tell you, we're trained, time is on our side. Many of these officers are trained to take this, you know, looking at this and dealing with this in a patient approach, unless there's an act of aggression. At least that's in prior reporting and in similar instances, that's what they'll tell you. Now, what you're looking at here is, officers, and if you look closely, and now that I'm getting a better vantage point, if we zoom in a little bit, David, you'll see there are a cluster of protesters, right? They are arm in arm, elbow to elbow, and it looks like they just do not want to move. So what we're observing are officers standing there, and we've got a little bit of a
they have to break it up.
A scuffle of some sort. We got some movement, but it's really hard to say and see because of these officers that are lined up and positioned in the way they are.
And
what
this
exactly
is the most
is happening, but clearly moments of.
This is the most resistance that we've seen so far, with the arms linked like that in that small little cluster. And at one point there, the officers just decide, okay, we're going to go in and almost in a tackle formation, can kind of break them up. And they took one or two, but there's the one protester still there and linked and making gestures with his arm, also almost as if, I mean, we can't hear it, but almost like if he's saying something or chanting something almost in the way his body language is, and he's speaking. Not sure if he's speaking to the fellow protesters that he's linked arms with, or if he's saying something to the officers. But they obviously, when they rushed in that moment, they took, I believe, one or two of the protesters away, right?
And something else that we've seen, Liz, as we were taking live pictures in the earlier hour, we also saw officers up on the rooftops. Again, they're obviously taking every safety precaution needed. If they were ever needed at that point. But like you mentioned, it does get tense at some moments. I know we're trying to zoom in here. There we see them. It looks like, well, I can't see which law enforcement department that is.
Right. It looks like. Sure, we do have law enforcement up on the rooftop here at this is the Student Health Services building. So clearly there was a plan in place, as there normally is, for the safety of not only those on campus, but also for the safety of those who are trying to exercise their right to free speech. Now, as we widen out a little bit, it appears that most of the protesters are either off the property, off of this encampment, or have been taken into custody, because if we pan this way to our left, you'll see just a lot of empty tents, empty canopies. There's a lot of trash on the floor. Remember, this encampment has been set up since Wednesday. So, you know, we do know that this morning UC San Diego issued an alert. They have closed the west side of the campus. They've actually had instruction go virtual or go remote. Many of the employees, if they are not essential employees on the west side of campus, are being told not to come to the campus, to work remotely if at all possible. So clearly there was a plan in place where the authorities and the university administration knew what was going to happen. Of course, and you're seeing that plan come into fruition.
Exactly, and they knew, and just erring on the side of caution should anything happen. It's best to not have any of the people not involved in the protest, just avoid the area altogether, which is what we're seeing, which is good. And then you have all this police presence, and I was kind of taken here by that moment where one of the protesters being taken away and may have said, oh, I don't have my glasses on. So the officer gently put the glasses back on her face. So there's that tact that is being had here in terms of removing these protesters from there and keeping it as peaceful as possible and not hurt anyone. That's kind of the goal, just to clear it out and everybody kind of stay safe.
And something else, Liz, that we noticed is that we see a lot of the students that are being removed from the encampment here. And then there were, you know, a couple that, at least from what I could see from our vantage point, they didn't appear to be students. Of course, I could be wrong, but I think that's one of the main questions, is how many of these protesters are actually UC San Diego students?
That's a great question. In our reporting, when we were here late last week, we asked that very question to one of the organizers. Now, the organizer telling us that the students who were camping out were either graduate students, current students, or alumni. But there's a big question as to, well, you know, is that true? Now, over the weekend, we saw hundreds more join in this or pro-Palestinian protest, this anti-war protest. And it's probably fair to say that over the weekend, with all the activity, there clearly may have been people from the outside come to support their cause. But as of who is here still this morning, that has yet to be determined. Are they really students? Are they graduates from UC San Diego? Are they connected in some way, or are they folks for the cause from the outside? Now, David just panned over to our right. We've got a lot of people who are on campus walking by, just watching the action. Perhaps they were part of the protesting that took place and decided, okay, time to go. Let me move off to the side and see. But here we have our law enforcement, and this is CHP. We have some of our CHP officers moving out. As you can see, they're in their tactical gear, which is standard protocol when responding to an incident like this. But for the most part, at least at this hour, it appears that most of the protesters have either dispersed or have been taken into custody. What's yet to be determined is what will happen to them, if they will be fined or released, if there are any charges of any sort. And then, of course, the cleanup of this lawn area here, well, that's a whole nother story and a whole nother process, guys.
And Liz, we do know that the chancellor there at UCSD, Chancellor Khosla, had actually mentioned that he was promised by the group that they wouldn't expand in terms of their footprint, how big the encampment would get, but he did estimate that they had tripled in size over the weekend. And then at that point, the chancellor said this encampment poses an unacceptable safety and security hazard on campus. Therein lies the problem. That's why the West Campus has been shut down.